Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast. Steve, Ramona.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I am so thrilled to have you join us today. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a purpose. We believe that when we approach our work and our lives with that servant's heart, you can truly make a difference. And it's so much fun to make a difference. I call it Christmas every day. It's such a great feeling. And we created this show to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you so you can make an impact in your world. How awesome is that? So let's truly make a difference and impact. They're so very cool. You're going to love my guest today because we're going to talk all about love in business and in life and how powerful it really can be. And I want you to think about how you can serve yourself and others today and what impact you create today with that service. And the key word is today. So listen to my incredible guest and then go ahead and serve somebody today. I guarantee you're going to love it. And I want to thank my incredible partner, Pantheon Alliance. Would you like to be part of an exclusive community of high-income, successful business owners and entrepreneurs from very diverse industries? Together, they're building a thought leader platform to impact and change the world. With that being said, if you have any questions or want some more information on Pantheon Alliance, just reach out to me and I'll get you that information. With that being said, impact and change, love can do that. I think if we have a lot more love in this world, today is November 1st, our elections are coming up, and some of you that will see this after the election, it's been hell is the word that comes to my mind, just seeing all this. Love is missing. And my guest today is going to talk about how we can bring it back and let it stay there forever. Mark, I want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So you wrote a book. Why does somebody write a book on love?
Well, I think it's the most important topic we have. Because it affects every area of our life. Obviously, in our family, love is crucial to have those family relationships, marriage and children and family relationships, but also friendships, how we relate to our neighbors, how we relate to our coworkers. Obviously, the relationship we have with our coworker is different than what we would have with, say, our spouse. But the principles of building relationships is the same, regardless of what the relationship is. And so if we learn love, which is the title of my book, Learning Love, if we can learn that, we can change every area of our life for the better. We can live those happy, healthy, thriving relationships in every area of life. And that's really what people are looking for. I have a professor that always said, what everyone wants is a life that matters and healthy relationships that last. And love is how we do that. If you learn how to love in every area of life and build those thriving relationships, you will have a life that matters and healthy relationships that last. And that's how to thrive in every area of life.
A lot of people's heads listening right now are going up and down like this. For you in the podcast down the road, my head's going up and down. We all agree, raising hands or whatever. What are the misconceptions of love?
Well, one of the things that people sometimes assume is that love is just instinct. It's just natural, and that we learn it from our families. That can be true, at least in part, if you came from a healthy, happy, thriving family background, which a lot of people did not. Sadly, there's a lot of dysfunction. There are toxic relationships. There are abusive families. And so some people grew up not understanding even what the basics of love look like because of their toxic family background. The good news for everyone, though, is that love is a learned skill set. That's what we don't often understand. We think that it just comes naturally, and that's because some people learned it before they remember learning it. If they did come from that healthy family, they learned the basic principles before they could even walk and talk. because they observed it in a healthy family. But if you didn't get that, then you can learn it any time of life. Love is a learned skill set. In my book, I teach 5 components of love. This is not rocket science. If you learn and practice these 5 components, anyone can build healthy, happy, thriving relationships. And even if you did come from a healthy family, you might still be missing some because every family is quirky. Every family has its own brand of odd and weird. And then we go out into the world and we meet other people that are healthy people, but they come from their own unique brand of quirky and odd and weird. And sometimes that's hard to match up. And so we still have things to learn, even if we come from a fortunate background. But if we have to say, no, my family was messed up, my family was toxic, abusive, and you're not alone in that. If you have to say that, there's a lot of people that have that story. Love is a learned skill set. You can learn it at any point in your life.
Yeah. And that's powerful. There's hope for the 50-year-old, the
Absolutely.
10-year-old, the 90-year-old. You can still learn it. And that's very cool. Take some more, but that's okay if you want to work at it. It's good. Let's jump deeper into that book. I want to talk about I would love for you to talk about the 5 components of love. I'm curious now.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, the first component is grief. And that surprises people because we often think when we're talking about love that it's all bubblegum and butterflies. Everything is sweet and beautiful. And we get to that. That's not incorrect. Yes, of course, there's an element of that. But the truth is, no one gets through this life without scars. Everyone has hardships. Everyone's going to be hurt along the way. And if you talk to someone who has put up emotional walls, they keep people at arm's length, they're defensive, they struggle to form relationships, those are people that have been hurt. And they've built themselves a prison in their own emotional defenses. If we learn how to grieve the hurts of life, if we learn how to heal those scars through grief, that's our comeback story. We can then engage in healthy, happy, thriving relationships, even if we've been hurt in the past. We can't necessarily fix the past. If you come from that abusive background or you've been through a divorce, you've had some kind of relationship trauma, we can't fix that, but we can heal from it. And one of the things I always say is that there are some things that are so painful in life that it leaves a hole in our heart. But you can live a really good life with a hole in your heart.
Yeah.
And that is through the healing that comes with grief. You can still connect even though you have a hole in your heart. I often equate it to think about a physical injury. If you lost an arm in an accident, life's never the same. That arm's not growing back. We can't fix that. But a lot of people go on to a great, thriving life, even after that injury. But it takes skills. It takes learning new skills. It takes getting the right help and healing in the right way in order to build that life. And so if we learn to grieve, we have a comeback story through the hurts of life to stay engaged in love.
It's powerful, really powerful. Well, COVID's taught us loneliness and trauma in multiple different ways.
Yeah.
How does learning
Yeah.
love in your book help build relationships with it through all that?
Yeah. But once we understand that grief comes as part of love, as a first component of love, then we can move on to emotion. That's the second component of love. That's the one everybody knows. That's those emotional connections we're all looking for. That comes very natural for some people. For other people, not as much. Some people are more cerebral, they're more introverted, they don't feel as comfortable sharing emotions, and that's okay. You don't have to change your personality. How you're wired up is fine. But the people who you care about need to know you care about them. And so learn to say, I love you. And if you can't do that because you came from maybe an abusive family that love was used as a weapon and that became a word that was used against you, okay. Say things like, I appreciate you, or thank you when someone does something good for you. Learn to express yourself, even in small ways, so that people you care about know you care about them. For those that are good at sharing emotion, I don't have to teach them anything. But those that aren't, just practice. You get better. It's like every other skill. You get better. And as you do, you make those emotional connections. Now, for those people, they always like the third component of love, which is practicality. Emotion brings us together, Practicality keeps us together. This is how we live life well together. The cerebral people are much more comfortable in this realm. The emotional people sometimes forget this one. We have to learn, if we're, say, a married couple, we have to learn finances together. We have to work together to run a household. In business, we have to learn communication. That's a learned skill set. We have to learn to talk to each other and express ourselves in healthy ways. Taking care of your mental health, that's a practical reality of life. There are things like depression and anxiety that take a toll on us personally. It takes a toll on our relationships in every area of life, at work and at home.
Yeah.
And those are treatable conditions. And so those become practical ways that we can improve our life and improve our relationships. Taking care of the practical stuff of life is a vital part, and it's one that's forgotten many times because we often get our view of love and relationships from the world around us, and they don't really make rom-com movies about practical guys that make good decisions. And so we have to remember that it's practicality that really keeps us together over the long haul, making sure that we're living life well together in whatever area of life we're talking about. So that's the first three.
What's the other two? I'm really curious.
All right. The fourth one is acceptance. And that's twofold. One is obviously we have to learn to accept people. Now that's within limits because we're not going to accept abuse, toxic relationships, and things of that nature. We're going to set boundaries there. But people are not perfect. We do have to accept people in their flaws, in their shortcomings, because we're all human. But the way to do that, and a more important aspect of that, is accepting ourselves.
Mm.
Psychology teaches us that you cannot love others more than you love yourself. Brene Brown has written beautifully about this and done a lot of research in that area. Others have as well, but she's the most noted. If we are unable to love ourselves, we are unable to love others. And so many times we want to make those emotional connections, we want to live well together, but we see something missing. And very often it's that we're trying to get relationships to validate us, and it doesn't work that way. Love is not a commodity like money. Money, you can get money a lot of ways. If you need more money, you can get a second job. You can take out a loan. You can borrow from friends or family. There's a lot of ways to gather money. If you need more, you can't gather more love. It has to grow organically. And so if you want to love other people, you have to love yourself first. And the more you love yourself, the more you're capable of loving others. And finally, the fifth component of love is passion. And this is a passion for life. This is getting up in the morning and being excited about what the day brings. Passion is what brings the wind in our sails and the fuel in our engine. It's what brings the enjoyment of life so that we love what we do for a living. And we love going home to our family in the evening. We love the people we work with, and we love the people we live with, and we love life. When we have a passion for life, we have that enjoyment. And there's a secret ingredient to bringing that passion, and it's fun. So many times we forget to have fun. Now, we know life is serious, and that's why practicality is the third component of love. And we know there are tragedies in life. That's why grief is the first component of love. We don't forget that. But we also need to remember that fun and enjoyment and passion for life is vital for all our relationships, for our own health, and for our connection with others. And so, if you are able to grieve the tough times of life so that it is your comeback story, that even though life hurts, we're able to come back and stay engaged in those relationships. We're able to make emotional connections, even if that doesn't come natural. We practice it so that we become better at it. We live life in a practical way in all our relationships, doing what we need to do to be healthy and happy in all those relationships. We start by loving ourselves first so that we are able to give love to others. And we live life with passion. You can build healthy, thriving relationships in every area of life, even if you come from a dysfunctional background or through relationship trauma in the past.
Powerful Tools is a powerful book because it's so simple, but it's so hard. Action is the big key. So people are listening and like, okay, I'm in a workplace. I have a business, whatever, I'm at whatever level they're at, how they incorporate learning love or love into their business workplace.
Yeah, if you want to have a thriving business, it's going to be based on those relationships that you build in your business. No one does anything alone. I know we work really hard, and sometimes it feels like we may be alone in our jobs and we're just trying to knock out that to-do list. But at the end of the day, we have other people in our life and we work together. And that's what really makes it enjoyable when we can work shoulder to shoulder with the people in our life to build that business, when we can enjoy each other's company. That doesn't mean you're going to enjoy everyone. There are relationships that don't work, and that's okay. That's part of the practical aspect of love. Is some relationships have to end, and that is a practical reality of life. But when we can be around as many people as possible and live those thriving relationships, we look forward to going to work. We look forward to accomplishing something and celebrating those things together. And when the tough times come, we have people around us together. All those aspects that we would use to build a healthy family, a healthy neighborhood, go into business as well, because no one can do it alone. We all need each other. And when we understand those components of love, we can apply them to our business world as well, because sometimes there's going to be setbacks, but we need a comeback story, and that's grief. We need to be able to connect emotionally. It's not the same emotional connection, obviously, but we need to appreciate the people we work with and care about them and know they care about us. We need to live together well in a practical way. We need to start by loving ourselves so we can really appreciate the work of others. And we need to come to work every day with passion as much as we can and enjoy what we do. If you apply those to your workplace, you'll have just as much success as applying them to your home life.
Yeah, that's the bridge is there. That's a great bridge, Mark. Very, very big. Because I always say a CEO's going through a divorce, that's affecting his business. How much?
Absolutely.
I don't know. Of course, if he's managing, it's much less than it is, but it does bridge. What? Because use thriving relationship. I'm going to start using that. I'm borrowing an audience. You're in there. I was going to say steal. I'm not stealing. I'm borrowing it.
You can have
How
that.
does somebody? Yeah, I love it because relationship's good, but I say as a servant's heart, you want to always do better. And thriving relationship is better than a relationship. So
That's
how
what I'm
do
looking for.
somebody? How do we identify that though?
Yeah, and it really comes in the eye of the beholder. There's no one
Yeah.
definition, but really it comes down to, are you happy? And I think we trivialize happiness too much sometimes. We think that that's just a throwaway, that you can't be happy all the time. Well, you're not going to enjoy every moment of life, obviously. Again, there's tragedies of life. That's why we have grief. But overall, are you happy? When you get up in the morning, are you glad to go to work and see those people and accomplish your task? Are you happy to go home and be with your family? There's going to be hardships. We don't deny that. But are you at a basic level? Are you happy? And I think if you can honestly say, I am happy in life, then you are thriving. You are reaching that goal of living a thriving life because you're doing the things that are inspiring you into happiness.
Yeah, it's well said. So let's go to the other side, the devil's advocate side. Unlove. How do I unlove? How do I unlove? A relationship that's toxic, not thriving.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do we get out of that?
Yeah. Yeah, that becomes a practical aspect. That's when we're talking about the third component of love is practicality, because you may still have that emotional connection, but you are in a toxic place where a practical aspect just doesn't work. This is where people say things like, I love them, but I can't live with them. There's an emotional connection there. They did fine with the emotional side of that second component, but they failed at the third component. They cannot live together. And that's a sad reality for a lot of people. But the reality is some relationships have to end. That's going to take you back to grief. That's why grief is the first component, because it's a foundational. We have to go back to that when things don't go as planned. But sometimes people are surprised that I say that, because as a relationship coach and somebody that writes about love, they assume that I'm going to say every relationship can be saved. Theoretically, if everyone practices the five components of love and wants to save that relationship, it's possible, but only in theory. The practical reality is some people are abusive, Some people are toxic. Some people are going to set out to destroy you. That's a sad reality for some people. And you may have emotional connection there, particularly if you're talking about a family of origin. You're going to have an emotional connection with those abusive parents just because you're their child. But you may not be able to live with them. You may have to end that relationship. You may have an emotional connection with someone that you were married to, but that relationship just can't work because it became an abusive relationship. Boundaries are part of love. That's part of the practicality element of love, that third component. And when we have to end a relationship, we may still have emotional connections, but it's important to love ourselves enough, bringing back that fourth component, and have enough practical insight to end those toxic relationships and understand that grief is our comeback story in that case to go on to healthy relationships. We have to end the negative ones, the unhealthy ones, in order to create room in our life for the healthy ones.
I love it. I learned it's so powerful. Guy, audience, this is something you want to dive deep into and get the book, because I've talked to many people, and we've probably both, me and you, said it. It's like, man, I got rid of that person. Man, my life is so much better. Yeah. It happens. You're serving them because it's toxic for them as it is for you. That's why I love what you just said. Are we, and we're getting to the end here, it just came to my head, are we always learning love? Or is there a point like, I know everything about love, I'm good to go?
Nope, you're always learning love. This is not,
Yeah.
There is always a practice. It is always a practice of love. You continually look at where can I improve in these five components? And the five components that allows us to conceptualize what areas are working and what are not. Where are we thriving and where are we struggling a bit? We may do really well in emotional connection and practicality, but we may be struggling in our passion and just remembering to have fun. We can conceptualize it and tweak it as we need to, even in our most healthy relationships, but it is always a practice. I'm practicing. I can teach the five components of love, but every day in my life, I'm still practicing as well. None of us reach perfection. We always need to treat it as a practice every day and conceptualize what's working, what's not, and let's keep making it better.
I'm laughing in my mind right now because I set you up. I knew the answer. And audience, you may have known the answer, but you need to hear it over, because skills should always be learned. And practice and action, beautifully said, Mark. Beautifully said. And here's a tip, audience, that I learned for self-love is if something is attacking you, and we've all had those issues. This lady told me a phrase 5 years ago: what you think about me is none of my business.
Right.
It's you to, I mean, not full circle, but 3/4 circle of what you're talking about from the self, one of the components of love. We've come to the end here, and I'm not so excited because I love what I'm hearing. We're going to try to get you back here next couple of months, but yeah, this is just a great topic, especially with business. Let's do some improv. I love having a fun question. So you have a reservation at a restaurant. There's a table of 4. You've got 3 guests coming. Who are you going to invite, dead or alive? Why are they going to be invited to the table? And what food would you order?
Oh, wow. Boy, that's a lot of choices there.
Yeah.
I would say the 3 guests at the table. Martin Luther King Jr., Jesus, and Gandhi. I think probably obvious from what I'm teaching, I would want to learn from these greats that always spoke about love and stood for love, and under tremendous hardship spoke about love, even if the world didn't always treat them with love, they still taught love. And so, yeah, I think that's the guest that I would want to sit with. And if I have a chance to order, it's always going to be Italian food.
Nice. Okay, can have a 5th chair. I'm all in with the Italian. Plus, that's a love table. I mean, I knew you'd do this. I was interested to see where you would go, and you nailed it. Love, love, love. That was the whole premise of their life. And they went through lots of challenges, and they still loved. It's so well said. Well, people, Mark, have been listening, and they're like, okay, I want to learn more about love. How can they get the book, and how can they support and connect with you?
go to my website, which is markahicks.com. Make sure you get my middle initial in there, markahicks.com. My book, which was originally self-published, has just been picked up by Morgan James Publishing. I'm very excited about that. So the self-published version is no longer available. Morgan James will be distributed nationwide in 2025. So go to my website and I'll keep you updated about pre-orders, and the book will be available in June, but pre-orders will be available soon. In the meantime, I have a free ebook on my website that goes over these 5 components of love. And so you can begin learning those, get an idea, and get those ingrained. And then when my book comes out, we'll go a lot deeper.
And you can see even more about Mark at your podcast. What's your podcast name?
The Learning Love Podcast. And if you go to my website, there's an easy link to that, as well as my YouTube channel and my social media. I also have a contact page on my website because I'm available for speaking engagements, workshops, and for coaching. And so if anybody would like to contact me to have me speak at their event, I'd be more than happy to talk with you.
You've been an incredible guest, Mark. I look forward to talking to you here real soon. I know some people in the audience are going to raise their hand. Yeah, bring them back. And I will do that. And audience, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And here's why. Not that I want subscribers. It's cool to have them. But you talking to somebody else that's saying, I need more love in my life, or just you're feeling that, what a powerful gift of love is giving this podcast to them, going, hey, I just listened to Mark Hicks. He's unbelievable. Take these 20 minutes and listen to the podcast. So share it with others or share it with yourself and listen to it maybe monthly, or when you're lacking in love, get those 5 components, man. And you get the book and listen to the podcast. Now you're really growing with love and exploding with love. And as always, me and Mark want to thank you all so much for watching and listening to this podcast. We do look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.